North Carolina. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, let's talk about privacy and protection and safety. For the record, I do want to protect our athletes. I want to protect our boy athletes. I want to protect our girl athletes. I want to protect our girls. The president of the NCAA, and I know this was shared earlier, did tell Congress that there are less than 10, and not all of them are transgender women. There are less than 10 of the more than 500,000 NCAA athletes that this bill and these kinds of bills would be targeting. That is a small number. That is a small number to be using up so much of this committee's time when there are legitimate issues that are actually impacting someone's livelihood and their ability to be alive and to live safely. If we are going to talk about keeping predators out of our sports, I mean, the biggest predator is the NCAA mafia that is so focused on the bodies of our athletes and making revenue, getting more and more money. Scholarship's not a priority. Their mental health isn't a priority. Their physical health isn't a priority. Why don't we talk about how to rein that entity in? But we don't. We don't. Why don't we talk about, yes, the pedophiles who have preyed on our young athletes, our boy athletes and our girl athletes? Larry Nassar was a name that was brought up. Where is the horror and outrage and shock over what that individual did? At one point, we were debating a bill where adults would be responsible for checking the genitalia of young kids, like to make a determination of who was a boy or who was a girl. And I'm sorry, no one here who is a parent or is a godparent or an uncle or an aunt to a child would be okay hearing some story of some rando who's now been authorized to check the genitalia of their child because they just want to make sure of something. Get out of here. Get out of here. Go straight to jail. And if you're talking about, well, the women are the victims, the girls are the victims, let's fight for them. Yeah, okay. There's a list of young girls in those Epstein files. There is a young child, a minor, okay, in her journal, documentation of exploitation, sexual abuse, rape, and forced abortion, a survivor of Epstein. We're not talking about her. In this latest tranche, not the full release of the files. An 11 or 12 or 13-year-old girl, naked, tied up, spread with her legs open, on a man's knee, being burned with a magnifying glass. No one is sharing any outrage over that. I see your face. Exactly. That was my face too. Disgusting, egregious, horrific, a child. If that was your child, and you have a DOJ that is putting the names of these women out there to be attacked and abused and vilified, and no one has any outrage, but you're going to go up in arms and have all this drama about a transgender person. Most people, real talk, have never even met a transgender person. It's like a boogeyman. Like, talk about fight for these girls that are in these files that were abused, burned up, raped. I yield back.
Gentlelady's time has expired. Further discussion, Ms. Hageman.
Just very briefly,
I think that the Epstein files have now been mentioned upwards of 20 times during the course of this markup today, when what we're focusing on is whether we need to adopt a law to prevent men from participating in women's athletics. One person even made the accusation that there is this whole slew of powerful men who have been covering for Jeffrey Epstein and their abusers. Well, you want to know who actually ran cover for Epstein, who actually covered for the abuser? Do you want to know who actually protected Jeffrey Epstein? Well, her name is Stacey Plaskett, and she is a Democrat representative from the Virgin Islands. So if you want to go in and look at the Epstein files, why don't you go ahead and do a word search for Stacey Plaskett, representative from the Virgin Islands, the woman who was Jeffrey Epstein's fixer. So if you want to talk about powerful men covering for Epstein, I think Stacey Plaskett has something as well to answer for being Jeffrey Epstein's fixer. So I would start on that side of the aisle to determine what kind of work she was doing for Mr. Epstein, because we know that she was his fixer, and her name is in the Epstein files repeatedly. So I think that what we really need to focus on here is the bill at hand, which is whether men should be allowed to compete in women's sports. I think we need to get back and kind of focus what we're talking about here, and that's what it is. If you want to talk about Epstein, I think the first person we need to go to is Stacey Plaskett. If you want to talk about the issue at hand, let's focus on this. With that, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Further discussion. Mr. Raskin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I rise in support of the gentlelady's amendment. Let me just respond immediately to what we just heard. Donald Trump was, by Jeffrey Epstein's own account, Jeffrey Epstein's closest friend for more than a decade. I'm happy to yield to the gentle lady from Wyoming if she chooses to deny that or has some evidence to rebuff that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, you don't accept any of the photographic?
No evidence of that whatsoever.
Have you ever seen a photograph of Jeffrey?
Who was your attorney?
I'm reclaiming my time, Ms. Hageman. Reclaiming my time, Ms. Hageman.
Who was Epstein's attorney?
I'm reclaiming my time.
The committee will come to order.
I'm very happy.
Mr. Raskin controls the time. Mr. Raskin.
There are tons of photographs of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, which the gentlelady apparently chooses not to see with her own eyes. There's lots of video.
What's the last date of
There's lots of video evidence of it. They were best friends for more than a decade. Okay? You will find a lot of stuff out. If you are hinging your case on the idea that Donald Trump didn't know Jeffrey Epstein, you are in for a very serious public collapse if that's your argument. As this comes forward,
that wasn't my
you
argument.
Cannot compare.
My argument is about Stacey Plaskett.
Excuse me, I'd like my time restored, okay?
The committee will be in order. Mr. Raskin controls the time, and he has not yielded. Mr. Raskin.
Stacey Plaskett is barely a comma in the encyclopedia of Donald Trump's complicity and involvement with Jeffrey Epstein and his international human sex trafficking ring. Okay, and if you don't understand that and you don't believe it, then you've not done anything to familiarize yourself with the evidence, Ms. Hageman. I'm sorry. And I know that your predecessor in office, Ms. Cheney, would have done that. She was scrupulous and she was studious and she took the facts seriously and she was not an ideologue who just fell for a cult leader. Okay? Now, back to the matter at hand. Presently, the Olympic Committee has already made the decision, I think, in more than half of the sports. So it's already decided, for example, that with respect to boxing, with respect to rugby, with respect to swimming, with respect to tennis, and with respect to volleyball, as I understand it, that all of these are limited to the sex assigned at birth. That's already been decided. So we are intervening now as the United States Congress to make a decision about a miscellaneous category of a handful of other sports, which have not even been mentioned by our colleagues, which appear to still be open to transgender athletes. Here are the ones that I see them are skateboarding, skiing and snowboarding, table tennis, ping pong, and then ultimate frisbee. Now, perhaps someone over there can explain why, when American citizens are being shot in the face by federal agents, And the entire heartland of the country is in an uproar because of Donald Trump's private paramilitary army that nobody on the other side seems to want to talk about. We should be talking about whether or not transgender girls or women should be able to participate in ultimate Frisbee competitions. Because that's really what we're talking about today. But they sure would much rather be talking about that than anything else. They don't want to talk about what's really in the Epstein files. I'm surprised, I'm stunned, I'm astonished, I'm flabbergasted by Ms. Hageman, who seems to go way beyond anything else I've heard from other Republicans. She seems to be in open denial that Donald Trump and Melania Trump had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. That's astonishing to me. I think she's setting herself for a huge public relations fall by going that far. Oh, here's some photographs, Ms. Hageman. How do you see about those? You think those are created by artificial intelligence? You got any problem with any of those pictures of your hero with Jeffrey Epstein, his closest friend for more than a decade? Thank you for bringing forth the photographic evidence. Keep that up for a while. Apparently some people haven't seen those pictures. They're very happy to talk about Stacey Plaskett, the non-voting delegate from the Virgin Islands, or Bill Clinton. And anybody who was involved in any crime should be punished for it, whether they're Democrat, Republican, Independent. I'll say it right now. Will Ms. Hageman, the very distinguished general lady from Wyoming, say that? Will she say that Republicans should be punished for their crimes if they were complicit in a $1 billion international child sex trafficking ring? I don't think so. I don't think she'll say it, not if it's Donald Trump. It's all about Donald Trump following him off into a path of oblivion. I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. Is there further discussion? Mr. Moore.
I yield to the gentlelady from Wyoming.
Just very briefly, it clearly hit a nerve, didn't I, Mr. Raskin?
Oh, very much so,
I
because
think
you
that-
don't
I
tell the
think that
truth.
It's very obvious.
And that hits a huge
I
nerve.
think that it's very obvious.
Ms.
I think
Hageman
it's
controls-
very
I'll interrupt her the
obvious.
same number of times she interrupted me, Mr. Chairman.
Controls the time and is not yielded.
Mr. Chairman, hold on. The ranking member just accused the gentlelady of lying. And I don't.
Never use that word. Never use that word.
Didn't he say about not telling the truth?
The committee will be in order. Mr.
That was the
Roy-
standard established earlier today, Mr. Roy. You weren't here.
The committee will be in order. Does Mr. Roy make a point of order?
May I inquire as to whether the gentleman with the ranking member accused the gentlelady of not telling the truth? I heard something to that effect and I might have misheard.
If the gentlelady was denying that Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, that would not be a truth that I could endorse in the world of objective reality.
This is my time. I never made that claim.
I'll yield back for now,
never
Mr.
made
Chairman.
Everybody calm down here, okay? The committee will be in order. I would remind members to direct their comments to the chair. The gentleman will continue in order. Oh, pardon me, gentlelady will continue in order.
Thank you. The point of this is that nobody has made that claim, yet in order to try to deflect attention from the fact that Stacey Plaskett was Jeffrey Epstein's fixer, the ranking member has become hysterical over the fact that there are published photographs of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody on this side has ever claimed otherwise or that they did not know each other. They absolutely did. But Donald Trump was not the attorney or the fixer for Jeffrey Epstein. Stacey Plaskett was. So the point that I am making is when you have accusations being made by the other side about powerful men covering up for Jeffrey Epstein, I think the very first person you need to look to is Stacey Plaskett, a powerful woman via New York and the Virgin Islands. That was the point. That doesn't have anything to do with Donald Trump. That has to do with whether Stacey Plaskett is associated with Jeffrey Epstein, and she clearly is.
Food supplies have been completely wiped out. We have our evacuation of all counties. I report complete devastation. We have a giant squall, cloud, gobbling up everything in their path. This is a total loss of life.
There are forces in this world that remind us of how fragile we are. We thought we were safe. We thought it could never happen to us. Then life like a fog descends upon us. blanketing our memories. Through the haze, we travel its hidden paths, lost in its secret places. And when the storm, turbulent and immovable, forces us to shelter, we remember. It calls to us, calls us back. Back to the ports and the harbors of our past. We fight the currents that pull and drag us off course, not a light or star to chart the way. And when we arrive, we don't always know it at first, the places we once loved guised by time. Then we see it, the place we've been trying to get back to. Safe at last, we've found our way home.